Hi everybody. Excuse me. So today we're going to do a twofer, something fun. We have some Rene Caovillas and some Christian Louboutins that are both going to get top soles. We're going to put white top soles on the sparkly ones, and we're going to put red top soles obviously on the Louboutins. We do a lot of these. If you'll see over here on our line, we just do these all the time, so it's fun to do videos like this. We have Christian Dior, more Louboutins. We have Fendi, some Valentinos, Gucci's up there. So we do lots and lots of top soles on some fun shoes. I like these because they look cool, so I like doing videos of the ones that are really pretty. Mr. Caovilla is a wonderful designer and makes beautiful stuff. He's got lots of cool designs. I like the sandals with the swirls that go all the way up and all that. Of course, Louboutin makes beautiful stuff, and we all know his signature. So what we're going to be doing today is on the Louboutins, we're going to be taking off the heels. We're going to be replacing the toes by putting new toes on. We're putting red rubber top soles. We're just going to be putting white top soles on the Caovillas. So let's start with, go ahead and removing the heel cap right here. We're going to take in just very, very gently, pop that up just a little bit so that it can get underneath the heel wheel. I'm going to pop this one too. Once again. All right, let's go over to the heel wheel. So if you've ever watched the other videos on doing the heels on the dowels, I always recommend doing it this way so that you have control. This is the proper way to take off a dowel. Make sure that it's protected. That's why I have rags and stuff up here, to make sure that when you pull down, you don't scar the material in any way. Squeeze that on there, nice, and simply pull down. It pops right out. Easy, easy. Okay. Let's bring our glue pot over here. Well-used glue pot. It's not a bad thing to have a lot of glue around the rim because that makes it airtight when you're not using it, preventing your glue from drying out prematurely, which we all want to make sure that that happens. Makes your product last longer. All right, so we're peeling back the heel cover here. I'm going to put a little bit of glue right along the edge here. I'm going to push this up and around. Like that. Push this up and then pull that back and let the glue dry while we're doing this one. You can see why we're doing it, because it's kind of wrinkled right there. And if we leave it wrinkled, it'll just kind of flatten out even more and get wider and wider, and it wouldn't look good, because we have nice thin little dowels here. Very, very dainty, which is what they're supposed to be, and that's what we're going to keep them like. All right. Once again, peel the cover back. That all together. All right. Let that dry for a minute. I'll explain what we're going to do. So we are now going to take the sparklies and the shinies, and we're going to take them over to the machine there, which is very, very loud, so I'm not going to talk through that portion. We're going to sand the bottoms for the top soles. We're going to sand the toes and the heels on this one, and I'm going to sand the top soles. Then I'll turn off the machine and we'll come over here and we'll glue some stuff together. All right, let's get this going. And let those dry for a second and sand these, and come back and push those together. Actually, let's set these right here so you won't have 2. Always safety glasses. These are the top soles. You'll see we have red as usual, and we have nice white. Very good. All right. It's going to be noisy. Sorry. Alright, let's get some glue on. Okay, so I want to show you this. We're going to make sure that our measurements are right. Put our heels together like this, and you can see that they match up to each other. That means that I sanded them to the proper height equally. All right. Now the reason that I sanded the toes here, I tried to show you that the toe there, even though it had only been worn once or twice, had already worn to where I was wearing into the upper. You don't want that, particularly if you're putting on the top sole, because then the top sole doesn't really have anything to protect. And that's the whole reason of the top sole, is to protect your shoe and keep it from slipping around. All right, so we're going to go ahead and glue the toe up here, and that is to put on the tip. That way we can build out the toe and put the top sole on. And then we're going to go ahead and glue these guys. Now, if you saw, first one, I sanded it and I showed you that it's the glitter here is kind of like a sticker, and it has several layers to it. It has the glitter layer, which has an adhesive to it, and then it also has the connective layer with an adhesive underneath that, and that's what all that stuff that I was sanding through was. On the second one, I showed you that it actually does much better if you don't do it so slow, and show the different levels between it. If you go a little bit faster, you can take most of it off at once. But it is a very, very fine line on these very thin soles between going a little bit faster and pulling more off, and going too fast and too far and making the sole just disappear. So we're putting our glue on for the top soles. We want a nice level, even glue that is consistent all the way across the surface. That way it dries evenly. It's very, very important for your glue to dry evenly at the same time, so that you get the same amount of contact. Alright, and if I haven't mentioned this before, I love my customers that bring me this kind of stuff, that allow me to work on items like this. They're beautiful and honestly very, very expensive, and they allow me to do this stuff to them, so I really appreciate the opportunity. This is fun to work on. Alright, we got a little bit of dry time on that toe, enough for me to go ahead and put a heel on, get that part out of the way. So we'll clear out the heel. This will be loud for a second. I believe that dowel is going to be a little shallow. So what we have here is split pin rivet, or split pin dowels. And find out here. Alright, that's going to be just a little bit shallow. No, actually I'm going to use the other one out of the box. It already has one coat and I need to put two on there. So that's okay. In just a second. Alright. Okay, so that dowel is just a little bit long for the shaft here, so we need to shorten it just a little bit. The easiest way to do that is just kind of cut the tip off. Alright. It's best if you don't do this in your hand, but I'm kind of stupid. Alright, so all I did was shorten it a little bit and rounded it so that it'll actually go into the hole. Alright, there's my hammer. Have hammer, will travel. See, dowel goes in, and it looks beautiful. It's not flared out. See, there's wrinkles and everything. Disappear, puts them up into the edge because there's no excess there. All that flattens out. Alright, let's do the other one. Now we'll put the second coat on those toes and the tips themselves. We'll go digging into the basket and find the tips. Alright, here we go. See, right against the hole. Now you're not actually trying to drill the hole or anything like that. You're just trying to clear it out so that everything fits. Wrong size. Let's do this once more. Now, unfortunately, for a lot of people's sakes, I'm not really safety oriented, in all honesty. I should be more, but I'm just not. I'm very careful around other people, just not myself. Alright, so let me glue this little piece of foil down right here. Straighten that out, and then this one will be set for another coat. So for a little bit small piece like this, you need a small application tool. I'm going to get the glue mostly where you're wanting to stick it, not necessarily on what you're trying to stick down. Alright, because what you want to stick down, you're going to actually uncurl as you're doing it, since it's folded up. All flattened out, looking beautiful. Okay, so stick in the box. So we have lots of different kind of tips in here. I'm looking for a thin one. Let's see if we can find a thin one real quick. I know this is exciting filming and footage. My editor will scold me, most likely. Ah, no. That one doesn't have any on it. I was hoping for one that already is pre-coated. Come on, give me one I want. There we go. There we go. Perfect. See? Nice and thin. Look at the difference. See? And this is a 2.5. This is a 1.5. Let me show you. That's like a 4. That's ridiculous. Alright, that's a 2.5 actually. That's a regular 2.5 full tip. So we want a thin one like that since we're just doing it for a topsail. Small pieces for these. Don't need a lot of material, surprisingly enough. Alright, so second coat for these is very important. Second coat takes longer to dry. But second coat makes sure that you not only have a bonding agent to the material that you're trying to stick to, but you have a bonding agent between the two materials. Okay? So first coat will bond to the material itself, and if you do it right, it will bond to the other material that you're sticking. But if you got them both, there's no question about it. It will. Built up a pile again. It's amazing when I do that. I collect tools, not only just because they're good to have, but because they're like magnets to me. Tools just kind of follow me around. Alright. No excess glue, nothing where it's not supposed to be. All the glue is exactly where it is supposed to be. Let's get rid of the little hair there. You can see. It's where it's supposed to be, not in big globs or anything like that. It will all dry evenly. You can see that on these as well. Okay. So we have top soles. They also need to be glued. Top soles, because they're rubber, they can take a while to dry. So we're actually going to glue both of them at the same time, both the white and the red. It's very, very simple. You go back and forth and make sure that your glue is very even all the way across. Now you can't do this too many times or you'll actually build up globs just by going back and forth too much. Reload the glue stick, brush. I like painting out to all the edges just because you never know when you're going to get it really, really close. Really? That was silly. I'm getting crowded here. As soon as I'm done with this, we're getting rid of this, the rest of this run. Get out of the way. All right. Very, very nice and even. No globs. No real light spots, anything like that. This is the first coat. You are going to have a second. So you want this one to cover, but it doesn't have to be thick or anything like that. In all honesty, thick glue doesn't do you a lot of good. It really doesn't. It's much better to do thin coats and do more than one if you need to, more than two if you need to. All right, see? Very, very nice. No globs, everything will dry evenly. All right, we're going to turn off the camera now and let this dry for a few minutes. We'll come back for a second coat on the sparklies, and we'll go ahead and put the toes on and finish those out, put the coats on for the red. All right, so we are back. We're going to go ahead and put our tips together and trim them so that we can sand for our top soles and get the first coat on this. Pretty simple and straightforward. You stick the leather onto the leather now that the glue is dry, and you beat it with a hammer. Gently beating with a hammer, but nonetheless. All right. 3 different jack stands here, and I have jacks for all of them. Fun. All right. Let's trim this on 5 and 1. Put that right there. Nice and trim. That's how it looks in the beginning. That's how it looks afterwards. Okay, let's do this. It's going to be a little loud. Same every time. Got my glue pot here. So we're going to put the first coat onto the soles of the Louboutins, and we're going to put the second coat onto the soles there, and we're going to put the second coat on both of these. We can go ahead and put it on the top soles because the top soles are rubber and take a significant amount longer time to dry. It is getting a little bit later in the day, so glue is getting a little thicker here. I need some new stuff. When it's thicker, it's not as viscous, so it can glob up on you a lot easier, which we don't want. See how it's starting to want to collect on the toe there? Alright, we're going to get a little fresh stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the rubber first. There's some obvious trash in there. We're doing work with hair on hides, which in an enclosed environment, fortunately, always leaves hair behind. So it'll be a couple of weeks before all of it is out of the shop and can stop trying to clean it up so much. Whoa! Really? What'd you do that for? Now we are going to go ahead and put the second coat on the red. And like I said, that's the reason is very simple. Just takes longer to dry than the leather does. So getting it done a little bit earlier is not a bad thing. And it's a real good idea to have these very dry before you actually put them together. Because when you stick them together, the acetones and whatnot, the solvents that are left in the glue, when you stick them together, take longer to dry when they're between two surfaces. So if you allow them to air dry as much as possible before putting them together, you have less dry time when they are in contact with each other. Now it's a fine line, once again, because if you let them get too dry, then they don't want to stick together. Pretty simple concepts. All right, once again, back to the Caovilla, that's it. I like this designer. He makes pretty nice stuff. And it's always pretty. Beautiful. Good materials too. Okay, that went on nice. Very good. Now, the only thing about working stones, aside from them being very heavy, is you have to be very careful not to knock off any of these stones or crush them in any way. If you crush them, they are very obvious. If you spill glue on them and you have a hard time getting it off, it'll make it obvious because it'll dull the stones. All sorts of stuff like that. You definitely don't want to scratch them, anything like that. Alright, that is on really nice. Okay, let's see if my first coat is dry enough to do a second over here. I have a feeling it's going to take a little bit longer. Oh yeah. Now you see the Little thick marks right there. They're going to take a little while to dry before we can do our second coat on that. Yeah. So we'll leave those set for about 15-20 minutes. All right. Second coat's on the other ones. They're looking good. Cool. See you in a minute. All right. So the first coat is dry, as you can see. So we're going to do the second coat on the shoes, and then we're going to let those dry for a while and stick them together. Nice and even, no globs. All the glue where it's supposed to be, none of the glue where it's not supposed to be. I'll make sure you get the edges. Very, very important to get the edges. Alright, so an hour and a half, we'll come back and stick them together. See you in a minute. So we've been letting these dry for a while. It's been a little over an hour and a half, so they're definitely ready to stick together. You can see it's barely even shiny anymore. Everything's gone dry. So we're going to put these on the jack here, very, very carefully. There they go, like a glove. All right, so we want to hit this line right across here because we don't want to get any over sand or anything like that. We really want to come right on that line. That way, when we finish it out, we don't have to do any touch-up dye work, because I don't like doing glitter touch-up dye work. All right, it's on there now. Make sure you have a clean mallet. That's important when you do the white topsoils. You're going to go straight down the center. Okay. And you're going to work from the center out to the edges. And that's going to make sure that any of the bubbles that are in there, any tiny bubbles, get pushed out to the edge as you're pushing it down. You don't want any bubbles on the inside because that's what will ultimately make the topsoil come loose. Alright, you can see that no damage has been done. Everything still looks beautiful. Very, very nice. And check your edge here. Go ahead and push any edge together like this, all the way around. That way, get a nice seal all the way around. Okay, looks good. Alright, we're going to put these back over here. And do number 2. Once again, very gently. That is key. Oops. Very gently, very carefully. Okay. Once again, I hit that line just right. This is the line right here. Once again, push through the center, work your way out to the edges. Sure everything is nice and tight on the edges. Very good. And And then we have our beautiful shiny Louboutins. Red bottoms, as some people call them. Again, start from the center. Push your edges down. Make sure everything's down. And because this is a pointy toe, we're going to put him on our third jack, which is our pointy toe jack. Just for that part there, just to make sure that bonds really well. All right, so these are off to a good start as well. Done very nice. Right through the center, push to the edges, push to the edges, push down the edges. Really, really good. Then start. Now you'll notice, if you notice, this is actually where I move the shoe on the jack, is from the heel back here. It's the most stable position while I'm hitting it. So I'm coming through, and I want to make sure that wherever I'm hitting on the jack. I'm not hitting just air. So I'll move it around and make sure. Come over here, put it on the jack. That's toe all the way out there. Make sure all of our edges are sealed. Okay. And that's going to do it for these for a few days. We're going to let them dry and come back and finish them out and make them look pretty. All right, thank you very much. See you in a minute. So we're back. These have been drying for a day or two, and we're ready to go ahead and finish them out. So we're going to go ahead and trim around the soles, take them over to the finisher, and sand them, finish them out, make them look beautiful. So you can cut these a bunch of different ways. You can do it with scissors. You can do it with a lip knife like this. On this particular occasion, I'm preferring the lip knife because I want to get really close on these jeweled ones. So lip knife is an excellent tool. Probably one of the safest tools in here, oddly enough. Go back and compress this together again. Make sure everything is seamed real nice, which it has. Beautiful. Alright. Next, get a few of these. Here, you can come around the other side so you can see it from this direction. So, make sure that your lip knife is always very, very sharp. One of the reasons it's such a useful tool. So you guys should keep it really sharp. It's got that nice little hook on the end of it. Keeps things from pulling all the way through so you don't slip with your knife so easily. It's also good for cutting threads. All right. On to these beauties. Now we want to get this one real close if we can, because I want to spend as little time running it on the sandpaper as possible. The reason being is because covered me up. Okay. The jewels here are not forgiving in any way whatsoever. If you scratch them or nick them or anything like that, it definitely shows. By the way, this is, of course, the most exciting portion of the video. It's not when I get on the sandpaper and it's spinning really, really fast. This is it, right here. Show them that. So, pretty close. So, if you'll see, put my finger back here against the edge of the top sole. And what that does, that provides support for my first cut, which is always a downward cut. Okay, then I bring it forward and I do the same thing underneath it, providing the support. My thumb is up here and that's pushing, giving me leverage to be able to pull the knife blade through. So, as you can see, it's just like that. I don't actually like to saw if I don't have to, but to be honest, I haven't had to do it this way in a little while, so I had to get my practice back. Okay, let's see, right along the edge there, a little bit of a downward motion as you pull. I'm not really pulling out or in or anything like that. I'm trying to keep it nice and level. There we go. All right. Last one was definitely better than the first one. I need more practice. 30-some years. All right. Let's go over to the finisher and we'll play with these. First up on the list is the Louboutins. Build the heels, trim the edges, and take it to the numcag. I got really fresh paper on there this time. All right, it's gonna be noisy, so I'm not gonna talk. Okay. So, not a bad job. Nicked it a little bit here on the glitter, which I'm not happy about, but the stones seem to be in pretty good shape. We've got a little glue on it here, a little glue on it right there. That needs to come off a little bit right there. This one's got some glue around the edges here, on the toe there. This side looks pretty good. So, next video we're going to do glue removal and dyeing the edge on those, and we'll do the same thing on the Louboutins, dye the edges and dye the bottoms on those, and they'll be done. We'll show you finished product here in a little bit. Okay, so we're towards the final stages. We're getting into the cleaning and touch-up dye portion. Luckily, these were pretty new, so not much cleaning is going to be done to them. We did put tips on these because they had gotten a little bit worn down, so there's probably going to be a little bit here and there, but not much. These were very new, so shouldn't have any problems there. We're going to start with just cleaning off the glue. I like to use just a little bit of cleaning fluid because it's this situation pretty easy. So we're just going to come across, break right here, and pull one way. Now, one thing that's important is when doing this, you never want to actually go against the material, against the topsoil, because that'll force the cleaning fluid underneath the topsoil, which will cause it to release, which is what we don't want to happen. Just like that. Pull the glue off. Put a little bit of pressure just so the glue balls up. Goes across. Okay. A little bit right here. Don't think we had any around the soles. No. We were clean when we put the glue on, which is good. Less to clean up now. Alright. Let's move on to the sparklies. These we have to be very, very delicate with because we don't want to pull up the stones. And we also don't want to release the topsoil by putting too much on here. Not a whole lot, actually. A little bit there, right in that edge. What is that? Oh, that's part of the original sticker. Oh, that's cool. That's the glue that the manufacturer got on the edge. Alright, let's take care of it. Goes back down. Not very much glue at all. A little bit. Okay. So now we're going to do a little touch-up dye. Touch-up dye is pretty simple most of the time. Now that I say that. Get the last little bit of dirt off of the top sole that had gotten on there. Make sure that's nice and clean. little bit. All right. So let's do the two little bottom pieces. We'll do the red for this one, we'll do the silver for this one, and then we'll go ahead and do the black edges and the black edges. And that's pretty much going to be it. We do multiple coats of red on the bottom. I might show you that, but I'll have other videos of that in there. Let's put some gloves on. Do a nice light coat. Especially for your first coat. Into bed, and then we'll smooth that a little bit as it dries, and over the successive coats it'll get even smoother. Let's do the next one. It's like finger painting as an adult. Gotta love this. Cool. And for a silver, we're actually going to use a paintbrush. Nice little thin one there. We don't really need very much. All we're really trying to do here is blend in any obvious lines. Glitter is one of those fun things to work with. It's actually pretty forgiving. Only problem you ever have with glitter is once you get it, you never get rid of it. So we're just doing a little silver paint. Not too bad. That's pretty good. All right, do the black around the edges. So you want to take the Q-tip, load it up with a little bit of paint, and we're going to gently roll it on. trying to do is just create a nice little smooth line. Once again, careful not to get stuff on the stones. Like I just did. Oh, that's nice. Get some more paint. I keep tapping that. There's a pen out there that I could get that you can load up with paint and be able to do this a little bit easier. But cotton swabs are really easy and really cheap, and I can buy a whole bunch of them and I don't have to clean them. That's what everybody sees. And I hope the camera picks up the amount of sparklies this has, because it is just gorgeous. Alright, so that's for that one. And I'm going to put this over here for a moment. Let's go ahead and do the red side, or the red bottoms with black, so y'all can see this. We'll come back and give you a finished product look. That way the video is not so incredibly long this time. Bad chance, huh? Alright, so once again, back to just rolling the sides, just like we just did on the other one. Once again, trying to be careful not to get it where it's not supposed to be. Get it all the places that it is supposed to be. Can't talk tonight. It's just like every other day. Color in. There you go. Over that spot a few times. Make sure we get into that edge where we put the tip on. Very important. It's pretty well done. So this is going to dry. We're going to put a couple more coats on the bottom, and then it's going to dry overnight. We'll come back and do a little finish video of both of them. It's all done, so you can see the final product. But that's essentially what the whole process is. Now we're just doing successive layers of dye to make it look good. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed it so far. I'll be back with the final one in a little bit. Okay, so the jobs are finished. We went through and completed the touch-up dye. If you'll see, we have nice red lines. We have nice black edges all the way around. They look gorgeous. They did beautiful. Nice and consistent. Customer will enjoy. All right. And then we also have our sparklies. They turned out beautiful. I had done a black line before when we last left you. I put some silver over the top of it and wiped it back off so it had that shadowed look to it, which is what it's supposed to have. Top sole did very nice. Sparklies look good. I really like the Rene Caovillas. Caovillas? Yeah. They're gorgeous shoes. I'm going to do another one of these videos with these. I think I have another pair with the white top soles that just came in, so we're probably going to do another pair of these real soon. But they did beautiful. As you can see, I'm going to turn one up like this. I'm going to turn one up like this and just give you a nice shot without me. And they're beautiful. Well, we really hope you enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun for us to do. This was once again another lesson in leather. We hope you have a good day. Thank you.